So, welcome to today's Deep Dive. We've got a really fascinating mission for you today. We are unpacking a transcript from day one of a 30-day English-speaking challenge.
Yeah, and it's a really unique approach to language learning.
It really is. It's essentially a curated list of 99 everyday sentences, and they're organized into these distinct phases of daily life. But the actual magic here isn't just the vocabulary itself.
Right, it's the method.
Exactly. It's the fact that the entire program is built completely around a technique called shadowing.
Right, and shadowing is, well, it's a concept that has been quietly revolutionizing language acquisition lately.
Okay.
And the source material defines the physical act of it just perfectly. It's deceptively straightforward. You listen to a native speaker say a sentence and you repeat it immediately after them.
So you're not just reading it.
Exactly. No, you are not just reading words off a page. You are actively mirroring the rhythm, the cadence, the speed, and the specific pronunciation as closely as you possibly can.
It reminds me of learning a new song on the guitar. There are usually two very different paths you can take with that.
Oh, I see where you're going with this. Yeah.
Right, you can sit down with a really dense book of sheet music.
Yeah.
And painstakingly study the time signatures, memorize the scales, try to mathematically construct the song from the ground up.
Which is how most people learn languages in school, honestly.
Or the other path, you could just put the record on, listen to the artist play, and try to mimic the sounds by ear. You just pluck the strings until your fingers naturally find the groove.
Right.
And long before you even know what, a pentatonic scale is, you're actually making music. We're applying that exact same logic to language learning here. Okay, let's unpack this, because right out of the gate, the source basically throws the traditional textbook out the window.
It really does.
It tells the listener, point blank, that they don't need to understand every single grammar rule. They just need to listen and repeat. But, and this is key, it has a very strict physical requirement. You have to do this out loud.
Yeah, that's non-negotiable in this method.
Right, you cannot just mouth the words or, think the sentence quietly in your head.
What's fascinating here is the underlying neuroscience that this specific constraint taps into. Because when we learn a language in a traditional grammar-heavy classroom, we are heavily engaging the analytical parts of our brain.
Like the prefrontal cortex.
Exactly. Primarily the prefrontal cortex.
Yeah.
So we are mentally juggling conjugation tables, agonizing over whether a verb is, past perfect or present continuous.
Trying to mathematically assemble the sentence.
Yes, trying to assemble it before we ever let it out of our mouths. And that cognitive heavy lifting, it creates this massive bottleneck. You end up just freezing in the middle of a conversation because your brain is running a diagnostic check on every single word.
Oh, man, I know that feeling intimately.
Yeah.
You're standing at a coffee shop in a foreign country, and you're just completely paralyzed because you can't remember the gender of a noun.
Precisely. We've all been there. But shadowing bypasses that analytical bottleneck entirely. By forcing you to speak out loud at speed, it shifts the burden from cognitive analysis to physical motor function.
It makes it physical.
Very physical. Speaking is a deeply physical act. It requires the precise coordination of your vocal cords, your tongue, your lips, your diaphragm.
Wow.
So when you shadow a sentence out loud repeatedly, you are building a direct neural pathway between your ear and your mouth. You are training the physical muscles to produce the sounds effortlessly.
And that builds a feedback loop, right?
Exactly. A simultaneous feedback loop. Your ear hears your own mouth, producing the correct rhythm, which just reinforces the learning. It's a low-stress shortcut to producing natural speech, completely avoiding the paralysis of overanalysis.
Okay, I understand the appeal of bypassing the stress for sure, but I have to push back on this slightly.
Sure, go ahead.
If we're just parroting strings of words without dissecting the grammar or without actually understanding the structural rules of what we're saying, aren't we just functioning like actors memorizing lines for a play?
That's a fair point.
Because we might sound great reciting a script, but that doesn't mean we actually know how to communicate when the script runs out.
That is the most common hesitation people have with this method. And honestly, if you were shadowing a random assortment of poetry or abstract philosophy, you would be absolutely right. You'd just be doing impressions. But the counter-argument lies entirely in the curation of the source material. These aren't just random lines from a Shakespearean play. The 99 sentences provided in this transcript are essentially the architectural building blocks of a human day.
Okay, building blocks.
Yeah. When you commit these specific, highly functional lines to physical memory, you aren't just parroting, You are internalizing the exact frameworks required to navigate daily existence.
The architecture of a human day.
Ah.
I like that. And looking at how this source material actually walks the listener through that day is pretty clever. It starts at the absolute foundation of human interaction, which is greetings and the morning routine.
Right, easing into it.
Yeah, it hands the learner sentences ranging from, like, formal inquiries, such as how do you do, to highly specific identity markers, like I am from Bangladesh.
And I want to highlight that the inclusion of a specific country like Bangladesh, rather than just leaving a blank space for the learner to insert their own country, is a very deliberate structural choice.
Oh, really? Why is that?
Well, in traditional learning, you get, I'm from blank. But when a learner hits a blank space, they pause. They hesitate while they think of the word.
Oh, that makes sense.
And that hesitation destroys the prosody.
The prosody.
Yeah, the natural music and rhythm of the sentence.
Yeah.
By forcing them to shadow the full completed sentence, the tongue learns the physical dance of connecting those specific consonants and vowels seamlessly. They actually learn the melody of an introduction.
That makes the transition into the mundane morning routine so much more effective then. Because once you've introduced yourself, the transcript anchors the language to the physical realities of waking up.
Yeah, getting ready for the day.
Exactly. You are shadowing sentences like, I brush my teeth every morning and I check my emails first thing in the morning. And then it moves right into domestic life with questions like, where did you put the remote control?
Which is such a classic.
It is. And the ultimate modern survival phrase, the Wi-Fi isn't working again.
And those deeply domestic frustrations, they serve a crucial purpose. They prove to the learner early on that the language they are practicing isn't some idealized textbook version of society.
Right. It's not perfectly polished.
No, it's the messy, actual life we all live. When you practice the phrase about the Wi-Fi being broken, you are attaching the English vocabulary to a very real, universal feeling of modern annoyance.
You know, following this progression, it feels a lot like the structure of a video game. Well, when you start a new game, you almost always spawn inside your own house.
Right.
It's the safe tutorial zone.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, you learn the basic controls by walking around your living room, brushing your teeth, looking for the remote. You only venture out into the multiplayer world once you've mastered those internal mechanics.
I like that. The video game analogy works for the environment, sure, but linguistically, that domestic space is more like a quarantine zone.
Quarantine zone.
Yeah, because inside your house, the language is entirely predictable. You control all the variables, you know what the remote control is, you know what the Wi-Fi router is, but the moment you step outside your front door, you lose control of those variables.
Oh, totally. The Wild West.
Right. The language required to survive fundamentally shifts from personal routine to public negotiation.
And that's exactly where the transcript takes us next. Once you leave the house, you have to start navigating transactions with strangers. So suddenly you're at the store asking, is there a discount today? Or where is the fitting room?
Everyday retail survival.
Exactly. And then you're at a restaurant trying to navigate the social mechanics of dining with a phrase like, let's split the bill.
Now stop and think about the grammatical complexity buried inside. Let's split the bill.
I mean, it seems simple enough, doesn't it?
It seems simple, but for a beginner, analyzing that sentence is a nightmare.
Really?
Oh, yeah. You have a contraction of let us, which is functioning as a suggestive imperative, followed by a colloquial use of the word split.
Oh.
If you try to build that sentence using grammar rules in real time, you will freeze.
I see what you mean.
But by treating it as a single unified sound, like a single vocal rhythm, the learner can effortlessly deploy a highly sophisticated social norm without doing any grammatical math.
That is super interesting. And tucked right inside that same dining section, there's a sentence that carries a completely different kind of weight. Amidst the casual talk about discounts and splitting checks, the source has the learner practice the phrase, I'm allergic to nuts.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the inclusion of that specific phrase reveals something profound about why we learn language in the first place.
Yeah.
Because up until this point in the day, the vocabulary has been about commerce or convenience, right? But I'm allergic to nuts transforms the English language into a literal shield. It becomes a tool for physical safety.
Oh, wow.
If you are in a foreign environment and your throat starts closing up, you do not have the time to search your analytical brain for the correct verb tense. Your ability to rhythmically, naturally, and instantly deploy that exact sentence could literally save your life.
Language as a physical shield. That's a stark reminder of how vulnerable you actually are when you don't speak the native tongue.
Very vulnerable.
And you see that same vulnerability pop up when the transcript moves into travel and directions.
Yeah.
Like, it covers the basics, of course, asking, excuse me, where's the train station?
Standard tourist stuff.
Right. But then it hits the learner with the sentence, I think we're lost.
Oh,
There is a deep psychological discomfort baked into admitting that to a stranger.
it requires dropping the facade of competence, doesn't it? You are moving from a transactional exchange, like buying a ticket, to an experiential one where you are openly acknowledging a deficit and actively asking for help.
Which takes guts. We're seeing a clear evolution in what the language is being used for here. We've survived the shopping mall, we've navigated the train station, and then the transcript shifts into the human element.
The emotional core.
Right. It asks the learner to shadow sentences about feelings and opinions. Phrases like, I completely agree with you, and the incredibly raw admission, to be honest, I'm a little nervous.
It really points to a hierarchy of needs in language acquisition. You have to secure your physical safety, figure out your transportation, and buy your food before you even have the luxury of sharing your internal emotional state.
Maslow's hierarchy of language learning.
Exactly. Teaching a beginner to articulate that they are nervous equips them to bring their authentic self into the new language, rather than just acting as a transaction machine.
But here's where it gets really interesting. After teaching the learner how to express these deep, vulnerable emotional realities, the transcript doesn't end on a profound note.
No, it doesn't.
It ends with small talk about the weather. It gives us sentences like, looks like it's going to rain, and it's so hot outside today, and time really flies, doesn't it?
Back to the basics.
Yeah, but it feels like a massive step backward. Like, why would you go from teaching someone to say, I'm nervous, straight back to, looks like rain?
I know it looks like a regression on the surface, but linguistically, it's actually the ultimate social tool. Because small talk about the weather isn't actually about meteorology.
It's not.
No. When someone says, looks like it's going to rain, they are not exchanging data. Small talk is a calibration mechanism. It is a low-stakes ping to the network to establish a shared reality.
A ping to the network. I love that.
Right. You are confirming with a stranger that you both exist in the same space, experiencing the exact same conditions, and you are offering a mutual agreement to a peaceful interaction.
So it's a linguistic handshake. You're testing the waters.
Exactly. Because if you drop a heavy opinion or a vulnerable emotion on a stranger without any calibration, it's jarring. It's weird.
Right. You can't just walk up to someone and say, I'm nervous.
No, the weather is the great equalizer. If the other person responds warmly to your comment about the heat, they have passed the test. The social bridge is built, and the door is now open to share those deeper feelings like, I'm a little nervous.
Man, that makes so much sense. So we've journeyed through the full spectrum of these 99 sentences, from the isolation of brushing our teeth, to the vulnerability of being lost, to building social bridges with strangers.
It's a full day.
It is. But acquiring this arsenal of phrases is only half the battle. We have to look at what the source material instructs the learner to actually do with them once the audio ends.
Yes, the methodology relies heavily on what happens after the first listen.
Right, because the transcript explicitly instructs the learner to come back and shadow this exact same episode again tomorrow, before they are even allowed to move on to day 2.
They have to repeat it.
Yes, the author stresses that repetition is exactly how the method works.
And that connects directly back to our discussion about the motor cortex and physical muscle memory. I mean, you don't build a bicep by lifting a dumbbell one single time.
I wish we did.
Don't we all? And you don't build a neural pathway by firing it once, either. The vocal cords in the brain require friction and repetition to permanently alter their structures. The learner has to continually stress the system until the foreign sounds feel native to the muscles of the mouth.
But the instructions go beyond just, sitting in your room repeating the audio over and over.
They do.
The source issues a highly actionable, real-world challenge. It tells the listener to take at least 3 of today's sentences and force themselves to use them in real life this week.
The scary part.
Right. It suggests opening a conversation with a simple, nice to meet you, or going up to a barista and asking, what do you recommend?
This raises an important question about the psychological barrier that shadowing alone cannot fix. Because it is a very safe, comfortable experience to sit in a quiet bedroom with your headphones on, perfectly matching the rhythm of a pre-recorded voice. You are in total control.
Nothing can go wrong.
Exactly. But taking that sentence and deploying it into the chaotic, unpredictable arena of a real coffee shop requires a massive leap of faith.
because the barista hasn't read the script.
Right.
You ask, what do you recommend? And they might hit you back with a barrage of rapid-fire local slang that you've never heard, spoken at twice the speed of your practice audio.
And the environment will push back. But that friction is the crucible where true fluency is forged. The source is pushing the learner over the edge of the nest, basically, because the psychological victory of successfully deploying just one sentence.
Just one.
Yeah, even if it's just a perfectly pronounced nice to meet you, that rewires the brain's confidence. It proves that the tool actually works in the wild.
So what does this all mean when we strip away the linguistics and look at this entire day one experience?
Yeah.
What is the core insight for anyone trying to master something new?
I think the insight is a profound respect for the mechanics of simplicity. This approach does not overwhelm the beginner by dumping them into the vast, intimidating ocean of English grammar.
No drowning on day one.
Exactly. It hands them a very small cup, fills it with the exact drops of language they need to survive one single day, and tells them to drink it. It relies on the quiet, compounding power of small physical habits.
It is a great reminder for you listening to this right now. The secret to being well-informed, or the secret to picking up any complex skill, usually doesn't involve mastering some grand, convoluted theory on your first try.
Almost never.
Right. Most of the time, the secret lies in the humble, repetitive practice of the absolute basics. It's about putting in the reps, training the ear and the mouth, the hands and the mind, over and over again until what once felt completely unnatural becomes a reflex.
It is the daily willingness to be a beginner, trusting the process until the mechanics disappear and only the communication remains.
That's beautifully said. Well, before we wrap up, I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over today. We just spent this time analyzing the 99 sentences that a language expert decided were essential for a stranger to navigate a single day in English. But think about your own life in your own native language. If a linguist were to secretly follow you around tomorrow, recording and analyzing the 99 sentences that you use most frequently every single day, what would that script reveal about you?
Oh, man. That's a deep question.
What would those heavily repeated sentences say about your personal priorities, your underlying stress levels, and the actual unfiltered way you are living your life?
That is a fascinating mirror to hold up. We are, in many ways, the sum of the words we repeatedly choose to say.
Definitely something to think about the next time you find yourself asking where the remote control is. Keep questioning, keep exploring the material, and keep listening to the world around you. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.